Bonjour tout le monde.
Bonjour. Ah, Hatim, ça va?
Et vous, tout va bien?
Oui, tout va bien.
Victoria, was there a problem with the interpreter? They don't want it.
C'est là où tu es youth ambassador. C'est avec le CIWI ou c'est avec la France? C'est avec l'UNESCO, c'est avec la France. Merci.
Queres bolacha ou queres pão? Ok, mas se queres um hambúrguer, mas se queres
Esther, on peut voir les messages Teams sur la présentation aussi.
Linha maluca.
Faz mais, como tá bom. Ai.
Just going.
Hello, everybody. Could you please mute yourself so there won't be any interruptions?
Oups.
Okay, so now welcome everyone who has joined our session on why value in water is more important than economy of water. Thanks for everyone who's already joined us for this discussion and presentation. We will have three main sessions today. The first one will be to trigger your ideas, to know what you think already about this issue, to know where you are. And then we will have a presentation on how we perceive value in water and our work in Tunisia. And then we will have a last session of discussion and interactions with you, our participants. So before we start, I would like to present all the speakers that we have with us today. I will start with Ben Darmen Montassar, who is a junior professional with the GIZ in Tunisia water program. Maïssa Hamdawi, a professional technical advisor based in Kairouan in Tunisia. We also have Alfa Hamami, who is a junior professional with us in GIZ Tunisia water program. Manfred Matz, who is the head of the program, water program in Tunisia. And Yassine Melouli, who is a senior professional, also with the GIZ water program. Sassi Erish, also a professional in Tunisia, based in Tunis. And Thomas Aylin, my co-moderator, as well as our partners, Sahar with the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources, and Rawe, who is representing Enfants de la Terre, an NGO of which you will hear later on in the presentation. So thanks to all our speakers who will present their ideas and point of view, and thanks to all the participants. We are, as you heard, the background is the project of the water sector reform in Tunisia. We work very closely with the Ministry of Water Resources, Agriculture and Fisheries here in Tunisia, and we will have these 3 sessions with you, starting with Mentimeter. I don't know if you're familiar with this tool. It's an interactive tool where you can join either on your phone or on the browser. So these are the instructions to join us on Mentimeter. Also, for the interaction, we prefer that you use our the Mentimeter platform to tell us what you want to say. But of course, if you have something else you want to interact with us about, you can use the chat, and my co-moderator Eileen will support with following the chat. Of course, if you have technical issues, you can also address them to Eileen, and we also have a backup support for that. So don't hesitate to go on the www.menti.com or on the application Mentimeter, and then use the code that will also be in the chat, 10287395. And once you're there, kindly give us a heart so that we know that you are ready to follow. So I'll wait a bit until everyone is there. So I see there are 38 participants, so I'll wait at least until 15 of you are ready. I see 9. So now, exactly, once you're in there, give us a heart so we know you're ready. Perfect. 11, we're getting there. 14, 15. Okay, so I think we can start with the 15 first, and then the others who will join can continue. Right. First question, where are you from? We would like to know where you are located at the moment. So this is Maisa, take over.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you for giving me the floor. So welcome again, everybody. We will start with our first question to know you better. So we would like to know where are you from? So please, you have to tap on the map on the image, and we will see where are you from. I will wait for a few seconds. Okay, good. I think we have many participants from all over the world, Africa, Europe, North Africa, South of Africa. Okay, so. Okay. So we can pass to the next question, please. I think we have certainly the situation of the water will be different from one region to another. And to know you much more better, we would like to ask you from which bioclimatic zone are you or do you represent? Dry zone, semi-dry, medium, or humid? Okay. Someone chose medium zone, some other semi-dry, humid, dry. Okay. I think the most have chosen the medium zone. So, next question. Okay, here we would like to know how is water perceived in your region? I want to clear something in this question, that the answers of those this question will be related to those of the previous. So, water perceived in your region, how is perceived? Is abundant, cheap, neglected, well managed, rare, expensive, not sufficiently available, or of high value? Here we can see, for example, the participant who came from dry zone or who came from the medium bioclimatic zone. For example, 14% of them, they choose not sufficiently available. 33% of them have choose of high value. And the most important thing that we can notice here, that people who came, for example, from dry and semi-dry region, they have choose that the water is very cheap, is rare in their region, is neglected, of course. We have 15% neglected and 50% who came from dry and semi-dry zone. Who came from semi-dry zone, they have chosen also expensive, 100%. Okay. So I think, as I said, the situation of water is very different from one region to another, and it's not as simple as that. So we will move to the next question. Okay, here, what characterizes the use of water in your region? So either is wasting water is socially not acceptable, abuse or overuse polluting of water is an offense punished by law, or water is expensive, so overuse is a financial burden. Here you can choose from 1 to 5, from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Okay, here we start. But I will wait for a few seconds. I can say that 50% as 50% have chosen that wasting water is socially not acceptable, or water is expensive, so overuse is a financial burden, and a little bit have chosen that abuse of water is an offense and punished by law, which maybe mean that application of law for overuse or abuse of water is not something like it's very applicated in our region, and we will discover that into the next question, so we can move. And this will be the last question. So, by which means is water valued in your region? Here we would like which mean is water valued in your region? High price of water, awarenesses campaigns, restriction of access, permits, or other measure. Certainly there is not a simple and a one means or one measure to value water. It's maybe all of this, it's maybe this and other measure, as we see. So 33% have chosen for restriction of access, the permits, which is the most, I think, measure to valued water in the region of which we become our participant. And 22% or 21 to 23 have chosen the high price of water, awareness companies, and some other have choose other measure. We will be glad to discover in our third session which are the other measure, for example, applied by other participants in other region. We will discover that. Here is the end of our question. I think we have deal with our first session with the Mentimeter. Next to that, we will have maybe a presentation which will deal with this means to valued water, and maybe it will be deal with the case of Tunisia especially. So I will be waiting a few minutes if there were some other participants who came or who are hesitating to choose another option. Certainly there are many other measures, and this the situation of water is so complicated as that.
So
okay.
Yes, thank you, Maisa. I think it's really interesting we will find out hopefully after the presentation what are these other measures that people have in mind. For now, we will start our presentation where we will address these different kinds of measures to value water and present how we deal with them in Tunisia. So I will ask my colleague Alfa to take over.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Esther. So our work is about water, economy of water. And next. Here, the presentation will be as follows. So water reality in Tunisia. We will see physical geography, generalities, economic facts, the irrigation sector, and then a conclusion. And next, the ground water reality in Tunisia, and subsequently how to achieve or to ensure a true valuation of water resources, and finally take home our recommendations. So the first part, like I say, about water reality in Tunisia, and especially with physical geography. So Tunisia is a North African country, belongs to the Maghreb region. It's yes, the next please. It's a Mediterranean country characterized by a climatic vulnerability with an annual rainfall of 220 millimeters per year. So according to the distribution of the rainfall between the north and the south, Tunisia is dominated by the arid bioclimatic stage. Yeah. So it's one of the Mediterranean countries with the few sources from high water scarcity, with 420 cubic meter per inhabitant per year, which is under the international standard of water shortage measure. Also, renewable water resources are naturally limited and severely threatened by climate change. And 1/4 of the water resources come from fossil aquifers, therefore is exhaustible. Tunisia suffers from water stress with 109% in 2020. And here we can say that this data is obtained from the National of Water sector, of 2020, while mentioning that this level is underestimated, so that will be more higher. Also, there is a strong competition over water resources between economic sector. And in this diagram, we find the distribution of water consumption between sectors with a large share of for the agriculture sector with almost 80%. Yeah. Also, it's important here to point out that agriculture takes much less in case of a dry year, between 30% and 70%, and for example, for 2016 and 2017. Yes, so this sector remains the largest consumer of water, but its contribution to GDP is low, especially for the share of irrigated agriculture, that is just 3.5%. Yeah. Additionally, the water use efficiency remains low in comparison with the world value, that is 19%, and mainly that for agriculture, which is just $0.3 per cubic meter. But on the other hand, here we see that the cubic meter of water gives $221. So, which shows that water is not valued by irrigated agriculture in Tunisia. So here, the following part will be presented by my colleague Montasar.
Thank you, Alpha. This very limited value of irrigated agriculture's contribution to GDP mentioned by my colleague Alpha is due to several factors. Sitting here, the subsidies offered by the state. In fact, referring to the National Water Sector report from 2020, the Tunisian government promotes the adoption of new irrigation techniques through subsidies between 14 until 16%. Due to this, the area equipped with the water-saving equipment increased to cover 413,000 hectares. This value represents 94% of the irrigation schemes. Next slide, please. Although the state has been encouraging investment in these irrigation techniques since 1995, only farms whose consumptions exceeds 5 million cubic meters per year are concerned by the law of hydraulic diagnosis. As a result, because of this dark side in the law, most farmers do not master the new irrigation techniques and do not quantify the requirements of irrigated crops. This would lead to the reality that even with these techniques, farmers are increasingly demanding water to expand the irrigated areas and even adopting more water-intensive cropping systems. In this context, the FAO study elaborated in 2020 and entitled Does Improved Irrigation Technology Save Water? Shows the impact of high-tech irrigation on water consumption. The study tends to explore what changes occur in water consumption when areas are converted from traditional techniques to high-tech drip and sprinkler. We can mention here two main benefits of these techniques that are the increase of water delivery efficiency and the decrease of surface water evaporation. On the other hand, the study focuses also on its disadvantages. For example, we have the expand of the area irrigated per unit of water delivered to the farm, the increase of local water consumption, a higher consumption of energy because of the pressurized systems in the irrigated schemes, the increase of crop production that leads directly to the increase of evapotranspiration, the adoption of crops with higher water needs, and the water productivity is also quite modest for the most important crops. Those interpretations imply that the techniques itself won't lead to decrease in water use by irrigated agriculture. To achieve a sustainable level of water use, more specific strategies to for valuing water will be required. My colleague Yassine will conclude with you this part.
Thank you, Montasar, and good morning, everyone. Some conclusion can already be drawn from the first part of our presentation. First, without a real valuing of water, the problem of increasing water demand will be not solved. Second, as long as any water is accessible, the tendency is to develop additional use of these resources through the extension of irrigated areas or the intensification of crops. Unfortunately, the last concern is to preserve and value this water. Third conclusion, we all know that the surface water resources like dams, lakes, rivers are limited. Once they are dry, they are not exploitable. So users, in order to satisfy their needs and overcome the deficit between supply and demand tend to go directly to invisible water resources. And here we are talking about groundwater, which is great pressure. Next, please. This observation is reflected on the following figure, which shows the exponential rise of the number of illicit boreholes since 2011, which is the year of revolution here in Tunisia. The number estimated is around 2,700, and in 2018 is around 18,000. Currently, the estimated number exceeds 22,000. This phenomenon, along with poor governance and the non-valuation of water resources, has led to over-exploitation of deep aquifers. Since 2010, the exploitation rate has been 93%, and it is currently around 129%. For all aquifers in Tunisia, in some regions, notably the center and the south, the rate exceeds over 200%. As an example, we can see of lowering of the prismatic level of aquifer in the northwest of the country, with a lowering around 90 meters from the period to 2002 and 2019, with an annual lowering around 2 meters per year. Another example, next slide please. Another example is in the center of the country, with a lowering of 30 meters between 1996 and 2012. It should be noted that this aquifer is currently dry and not exploitable due to overuse and overexploitation of this aquifer. Now we are going to hear a report produced by France 24, which illustrates this difficult situation in Tunisia.
Le reportage de Lilia Blaze et Hamdi Tlili.
Sur la route de Zagouan, dans le nord de la Tunisie, les ruines de l'aqueduc romain rappellent que la région était connue dans l'Antiquité pour sa richesse, une eau de source pure. Aujourd'hui, elle est l'une des zones les plus menacées par la sécheresse et le changement climatique. Alors certains vont chercher l'eau là où c'est interdit, par forage de la nappe phréatique. Les autorités traquent ces forages illégaux et confisquent des machines chez les agriculteurs.
Généralement, pour creuser un forage, le monsieur il commence par faire un mur ou un peu pour camoufler la machine. Il a les machines à rotary. Donc, que vous voulez voir, c'est l'outil de creusage. Ça, c'est les tiges. On a saisi jusqu'à maintenant plus que 50 machines illégales, c'est-à-dire anarchiques.
Mais Tarek suit aussi de près les agriculteurs pour les aider à trouver des alternatives avec des pratiques légales. Rida, par exemple, n'arrive plus à irriguer correctement ses terres.
J'ai épuisé mes 2 pompes. Je n'arrive plus à trouver de l'eau. Moi, par exemple, j'avais l'autorisation et la licence pour faire un forage légal depuis 1997 avec cette pompe. J'avais de l'eau et plus ça allait, plus je creusais. Mais depuis 2 ans, je n'ai plus d'eau du tout.
Il a dû changer ses cultures pour éviter d'utiliser trop d'eau.
Ces oliviers sont ma source de revenus.
Et avant, vous faisiez quoi?
Avant, je faisais des melons et des tomates, mais avec le manque d'eau, ce n'est plus possible. La nappe s'assèche et ces produits nécessitent trop d'eau.
Pour faire face au manque d'eau et anticiper l'été, les ingénieurs misent aussi sur ce barrage pour recharger la nappe phréatique. Mais cette année, le rendement n'a pas été suffisant.
Le problème, c'est que l'eau qui ruisselle dans le barrage apporte aussi avec elle des sédiments, et cela diminue le niveau de stockage de l'eau, puisque les sédiments stagnent au fond.
La pluie de ces derniers jours apportera un peu de répit, mais les autorités appellent à davantage de sensibilisation.
En Guinée.
Thank you for listening to this video. I will do just a quick summary for those who don't understand French. So it's about, of course, the water stress in Tunisia and how some people choose to go for illegal practices such as digging illegal boreholes. And the person in the video shows how they try to avoid police seeing them while they are doing that. Although, of course, there are legal practices that have permits to pump the water from the aquifer, and we can see this farmer who had 2 pumps, but they dried out, and he has to dig every year a bit deeper to get water, but it's really getting rare at the moment. So he had to change his cultivation. He changed from tomatoes and cantaloupes to olive trees who are less water intensive. But of course, he still has to dig deeper and the water is very scarce. The other proposition in the video is to look at reservoir and dams that can recharge the aquifers. But unfortunately, with the low rainfall, that year, it was not enough to recharge the aquifer. So now I will pass on the floor to Sahar, our partner from the Ministry of Water and Agriculture.
Thank you, Esther. Good morning, everyone. So we'll carry on the most important part of this presentation, how to achieve and ensure a true valuation of water. So let's start by defining what is the value of water. The value of water is more than monetary. It extends to keeping economies functioning, supporting community livelihoods, maintaining healthy ecosystems, and its preservation for future generations. So here we have an overview on our project, which is conducted under a Tunisian-German cooperation, and its main objective is to improve the management of water resources. The project is subdivided in 4 components. The first is working on regulation sector. The second is working on sensitization and political dialogue. The third on regional solutions, and the fourth on the cooperation with industries. So actually we are working on 3 levels to achieve the valuing of water. First, awareness by information and sensitization. Second, by regulation, so by limiting access. And third, by financial incentives with higher monetary costs. So let's go on the first level, awareness by headline activities. Example, urban billboards, awareness spots, media and social media, TV and radio programs. Support the expertise of key actors by studies, training of trainers, coaching in crisis communication, and networking and multiplication. The get-together NGO, the journalists, the school competitions, university courses, etc. And here we have an intervention with a beautiful collaboration with an NGO called RET. Dear Rawe, the floor is yours to talk more about this collaboration.
Thank you all. Thank you, Sahar, for this opportunity. So before playing the video, I'd just like to introduce the project. It's called MENA. So the project started as a competition between 8 different schools in 4 different regions in Tunisia. And the project is initiated by the NGO Réseau Enfants de la Terre with partnership with the GIZ. And so you can play the video now. The goal of the project is to raise the awareness as well as build the capacities of young adults so that they become more water conscious, to become leaders in their own regions, and to adopt good practices related to sustainable water management. So here, for example, we organized a study day in the region of Zaghouan, the capital of water, ironically suffering from water scarcity. So the aim was to make pupils more aware of the sociocultural aspect of water throughout the history. Also, there's a debate that was launched between the historian here, the expert, the local community, and of course, youth. So here we have the debate. Also, these are the winners in the competition on a famous TV show. So these youth chose to voice their concerns about water, but artistically. So here some of them chose slam, others rap songs, some others apocalyptic documentaries, plays, and so on and so forth. So the aim here was to adopt our visions and goals to the language spoken by youth, namely art, music, and so on and so forth. Here we have the rap song here on water, of course. Also, we organized an advocacy campaign in the region of Zaghouan. Here is a clear message from youth, from Zaghouan to decision makers, but also to investors in the region to stop the overexploitation of groundwater in the region of Zaghouan. So don't mess with our water. So water is our right and we should treat it right, and many other slogans. Here's also another activity, a workshop organized in a primary school to understand the relationship between water and climate change, but also to invite students to think about potential solutions in their milieu, namely school and their homes. Here we have the students receiving their present or their gift after the competition, toolkits and environmental books simplified on water and the environment. I'd like to say that the project is still on. However, the focus this year is how to engage not only youth in small-scale projects, but also their parents. Most of them, they are farmers. Second goal of the project is to build the capacities of instructors and teachers so that they can integrate the theme of water in school curriculum. Eventually, I'd like to say that young adults, as you can see, are the most vulnerable category here. However, as Réseau Enfants de la Terre, we made it our challenge, and we take it as a challenge to shift and to help youth shift from this situation of vulnerability, of climate vulnerability, to a position of climate leadership and resilience. Over to you, Sahar.
Thank you, dear Awe. That was amazing. So we'll carry on the second level, regulation, raising the awareness of all involved, all actors involved in the protection of groundwater, like judge, state prosecutors, public control officer. Then supporting the implementation of the new water code, which is considered as the main legal reference of water management in Tunisia. And the judicial review of the conditions for granting authorization for the exploitation of groundwater, strategy against illegal drilling, and reinforcement of logistics capacities. The third lever is financial incentives. So we have advocacy for the adaptation of the water tariff, strengthening the collect of raw water charges or fees, reviewing, updating the public subsidies in the agricultural sector, like NME, IPEA, study on costs of over-exploitation, and implementation of pilot plots for water valuing. So here, to summarize, some recommendations are given to you. So it's important to mention that ignoring the value of water is the main reason for wasting it. Approaches to assessing the value of water vary considerably depending on the perspectives and dimensions of users. To achieve sustainable and equitable management of water resources, it's fundamental to recognize, measure, and express the multiple values of water, and to integrate them into decision-making processes. So integrate the water value approach into ongoing water resources management strategies and put this at the heart of the Sustainable Development Goal, mainly 6.4. So thank you all for your attention, and Esther, go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sahar, and all the other speakers. Now we will move to the discussion part, which we will guide through a Mentimeter tool, the same one as before. So you can go back to it, and we will move to the next session for discussion with you. Then I will pass the lead to Manfred. These are the instructions again, the code to get back in, and then we will continue. Please put a heart when you are there.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm seeing that lots of you are joining in again into the Mentimeter session. I take on the control of the Mentimeter now. Esther, I hope this works. Does it work? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So the first question. Let me see. I don't have the control. Esther, do you have still the control? No. Okay. Okay. Apparently, it doesn't work. So with that I getting the control. So we are starting with the session 3. So the session 3, we want you to participate. You, the one who have actually listened to our presentation and to the first part of this session. So the first question that we are asking you is, what are your takeaways, your questions, or your remarks from the presentation? You can either write in the chat, you can directly write into the Mentimeter, which we would prefer, or you can as well take the word and ask the word and to say something if you want. So when I see some comments or remarks, I will directly react to it, and we will, in the last part of this section, talk about your specific proposal. So this is this first part of the third section is only concerning the presentation and our experiences. So you are saying awareness of water management and value is something that seems to be important. Fight illegal drilling. Yes. Okay, this is what we are doing. Water is not for free. This was, I think these are takeaways that you are writing here. Feel free to write any question or anything which you didn't really understand. Here's a question. I'm not sure I understand the segment with the irrigation sheet. Was the conclusion that only farmers with high water use get the subsidies? Okay, we will go on this. No, the subsidies the Tunisian state is actually handing out is for equipment. Is it for dripping irrigation equipment? And this goes to everyone having a legal borehole, of course. So you have to have a license for a borehole in order to get the subsidized material. If not, you won't get it. There are some. We can reduce the pricing of water with AI. What can AI is what, please? Does anybody know? Artificial intelligence? Is that right?
Yes, I think so.
Artificial intelligence. We can reduce pricing of water. Okay, probably we can do this pricing of water, but probably okay. I go through the questions and the takeaways first, and then before going to the real discussion. Okay, some somebody said awareness of water management for all generation is important, and this is a very important takeaway for us. Yes. The next one, economic aspect of water. I'm okay. It is important to value water. Yes. Awareness of water management for all generations. Yes. Manage water is key. Economic aspect of water is very capital. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I will say something to that, to the word economy in the title of our session when we go to the next slide, to the open discussion. The levels of behavior change and for valuing water. That means this is the final end of behavior change, to value water. This is exactly what we are saying. Thank you very much for this comment. This is very much what we go for. Water is not, to the right, water is not valued as compared to its importance to humanity. Consuming large quantity of water in low GDP contributory usage must be minimized. This is a good point. This is actually something which my colleague Maisa mentioned about the low value of the water use efficiency in agriculture in Tunisia. It was only, if I well remember, $0.3 per cubic meter, and this means, with other words, it's a lot of water is used for products which actually don't have a high value, and this is to a monetary term already an under-evaluation or undervaluation of water. Okay, let's look at some other comments here made. Can you just click on one, Esther and I? Interesting. It should just have liked to have more comments or details about the incentives, especially those about agriculture and their probable and efficiency. Okay, incentives to reducing water consumption are, for instance, in Tunisia, the block tariff system in the water supply. So this is water supply, this is not irrigation, that's correct. There is as well in Tunisia a fee on groundwater abstraction, but of course this is applied only to legal boreholes, of course, having an a concession. And as well, this is a good part of the story, but the bad part of the story is that this fee is not volumetric. So that means as long as you have a borehole, you pay every year the same thing. So we are trying in our project to change this towards a volumetric system. That means the farmers need, for example, meters to be installed, and this is something which is quite difficult for us to achieve, and we are discussing with the ministry how to do this. Esther, can you click on one other comment, please?
Maybe I can step in here because we also got a comment going into the same direction within the chat, saying that Cindy thinks that there is a lot of pressure on groundwater resources and little government action on that regard. Scientific studies, including water head levels and subsidence, are necessary to make informed decisions in terms of groundwater management and actions plans implementation. So yeah, also going into the direction that we actually need to have well-informed information for taking the next steps in the management.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much for this comment, Cindy. It goes very much in the direction that we actually undertake and with our project and with our understanding, with our vision. And you know, when we come to water management, it is very often, you know, the theme of participatory management of water resources, and very few about the role of regulation. And I think what we have here is simply that the tragedy of the commons, that means everybody taking water from a common good, but not eventually not having the conscience or the sensitization of using this water wisely, because as well others are using it. needs somebody, the input or an action from the state, from government, from regulation. So with this regard, we don't consider regulation as something which is, let me say, bad. No, not at all. We think that should be somebody who has actually the charge of going into protecting the rights of people who actually cannot express themselves. And this is mainly, as you have heard, the future generations which actually cannot express themselves. And, you know, to help to protect their rights, we understand and we would say it is necessary to take their voices and to take this in action. And this is mainly to regulation. And of course, incentives, monetary incentives, as I mentioned them, they are as well organized by the state. Let's look at some other comments. Esther, can you click on one which is interesting here? Have you ever thought of implanting atmospheric water generation in an area where the humidity is high? Yeah, you know, one of the messages what we have is actually if you have really you know gone into detail and into the heart of the presentation, is that we say, okay, there are techniques of producing more water, of course, and there are as well techniques of reducing water consumption. But what we are saying is, if you don't value the water before you use the techniques, these techniques only generate other use of the same water, of the additional water in other areas. I think my colleague Montassar, he showed very well if the result of the FAO study. So then the FAO study says actually a dripping irrigation system have on the long run not reduced water consumption because everybody is using this water saved for other purposes. So actually the save on the total quantity of water used through techniques is unfortunately not reality unless the water is valued beforehand. And this is the main message that we are saying. We can also focus on wastewater to make it drinkable water for everyone out there. This is actually, it is actually true. And we, of course, you can, as I just said, you can increase the amount of water available. But actually, what we do in Tunisia, the German corporation in Tunisia works on both areas, on increasing water supply, that means available water, and as well reducing water consumption. And we understood that both have to be done in the same moment. So if you put in 1 cubic meter more of water into the system through a dam, through purified wastewater or something else, at the same time, you have to give the message to the people, but use it wisely. You have to value it, and you have the people to understand that it shouldn't be wasted, because if not, you only increase the demand, and the unbalanced water table remain the same as it was said before. How to make the technical, social, and political issue working together?
Manfred,
Yes, yes,
just
Esther?
maybe this is the last comment you can elaborate on. Then we go to the next question because the session will end in 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes already?
Yes.
Oh, how to make the technical, social, and political issue working together. Don't we have 30 minutes left, Esther?
Sorry, my bad. We still have
okay. Yes, how to make the technical, social, and political issue working together. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you have seen a bit what we are doing with these in this reset program, reset project. So we are working at the same time with civil society, we are working in schools, we are working with the farmers, we are doing awareness campaigns, and then we are working as well on regulation. I think, and as well regulation, and as well in the policy and politics, of course, of water, how to get in more clear regulation and strategic orientation of the government, and this together, I think this together is a very important thing. But the very first thing what we want to tell you is, of course, the government and the administration has to understand the need of talking the truth situation and telling the truth of the situation to the people. This is one of our main issues, and probably we didn't talk about that. But the problem is, if you only talk about everything is fine, we have enough water, or the only problem is if the dams, the reservoirs are filled or not, you won't get the message to the people. Please, in a country like Tunisia, and there are many others in the region, we have to save water, we have to use it wisely in order not to waste it, because it will affect directly the economic situation of the future. What's the vision of the ministry to solve this problem? Very good point. I like this question. Yeah, I mean, we are talking, you have seen that there we have one of the speaker was from the ministry, and I can probably make a comment about, then hand over to Saha herself, who can talk for the ministry. The ministry is actually our main partner, and actually we are doing everything through the Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources in Tunisia. And we help them to formulate the problem as such, and to actually to formulate as well, and to find solution to the problem. Our part mainly, that means the GIZ program mainly in water demand management, and our partner, the financial bank of the German corporation, the KfW, in regarding investments in dams, reservoirs, transfers, desalination themes, and so on. So, Saha, do you want to comment on this very important question? What's the vision of the ministry to solve this problem?
Okay, thank you, Manfred. So the ministry is actually working on multiple projects dealing with water management, constructing dams, connecting dams to resolve the problem of irregular amount of water in all the territory of Tunisia. So, as I said in the presentation, that the levers we are working on are three. We are working on awareness of from youth to adult for every category of users of water in Tunisia. We are working also on the regulation, which is the most important part for us. As I said, the code of water is the main reference to applicate regulation. And the third one is financial incentives. These levers are parallel to technical solutions, like I said, the dam connecting by channels the water from north to center to south of Tunisia. We are working also on the sustainable development goals. We are actually we have elaborated the voluntary report of Tunisia, and we have presented it last year. So we are working at many levels to solve this problem.
You can mention as well the strategy 2050 of the water.
Yes, it's a prospective study to ensure water security in the horizon of 2050, technical solutions and non-technical solutions like sensitization, information, making all the people aware that the problem is general. Climate change, the most important problem we are living now and we will still live in the future. We must prepare ourselves and prepare the action plans to do from this moment.
Thank you, Sahar. As I invite as well, of course, my other colleagues and the other speakers of the presentation. But probably this, what Esther has just highlighted here. This comment is a very good one. Which solution to limit the illegal boreholes in the region where agriculture is the only activity, the only economic activity in the region? I mean, we know that it is not easy as well, not easy for the administration, for the Tunisian administration in the country where there's actually not enough water and where actually groundwater is overused, to go out to tell the farmers, hey, you are using water for, you know, which should be preserved for future economic activities. So it is not easy. What we are actually doing is we establish a plan to tackle the roughly 20,000 illegal boreholes and to categorize them into different priorities. So actually what we are, and this is actually done together, of course, with the ministry. This study or with this program is on the way. It's a national strategy, and we will actually make a difference between, for example, a borehole drilled by let me say, some rich investor from one of the big cities in a rural area just to produce some additional income, and of course, a family which relies wholly on groundwater or on water for a 5 or 6 acre plot to produce the income for the family to survive. You cannot treat these two examples in the same way. But actually, what we do is we have to we have to tell the people that illegal borehole drilling is actually pumping out the water, and in a very few time there is actually no more water left even for agriculture. So that means it is very short-sighted to overuse groundwater, and to people have actually to act. And I think in the film we saw as well that farmers that actually have experienced the going down of the water table, and that there's not enough water available. You remember the farmer who said he had 2 boreholes and it's not enough water for his product, so he has to change the products. So actually what we have to encourage the farmers as well, please use other products. No more tomatoes, no more melons, no more things who use too much water, and go to as well higher valuable crops as, for example, olives, nuts, and so on. So we know very much that this change is not easy. I think there is Maisa who has asked the word. Maisa, one of the presenters. Please, Maisa, come in.
Yes, thank you, Manfred. Just I want to add something to answer this question, which are another type of project that we have make it with with the GIZ, of course, with the partner of Ministry of Agriculture, the project who deal with the income generation activities. For example, project of MENA, who it's one of the solution to give it to the agriculture and to the farmers in their rural world. So we have deal with the valorization, for example, for local products, and as you said, some type of crops that they're not consumption for water, like not like tomato or something like that. So I would just like to add that we have deal with this problem, and with other project, other of IRRIGATION. That's it.
There's a good question here, how to judge the consciousness of the population. Erij, can you hear me? Can you answer this, please?
Yes, I hear you, Manfred. La sensibilisation, la conscience de population, il y a une évolution, il y a une prise de conscience par rapport aux années dernières, mais ça reste toujours pas suffisant.
Okay, my colleague said that there is an increase of consciousness of the population, and actually what we do, and I asked Erij to come in because she's working in the component which deals with awareness campaigns, and in order to achieve one of our indicators, which actually talk about the consciousness of the population, about the level of consciousness of the population of the water stress in Tunisia, we actually have to do regular surveys, national surveys, to understand whether we are actually have an increment of the consciousness. And this is I mean, this is probably it's a rare occasion, and actually it's the first project in my life. And you might understand that I have done quite some projects in my life. The first that we actually having an indicator like this to measure the consciousness of the population, and the measure as well as another indicator to the what the politicians and administrators actually say about water, whether they are actually tending more and more towards saying that we have a problem in Tunisia with water resources. This is as well an indicator, it's an indicator for a water project. And it is very important, because if the consciousness is actually growing, we can as well much easier apply, for example, regulations. If nobody knows why there is a problem, don't understand the regulation. I mean, this is not a phenomena. This is actually reality all over the world. Okay, how can we increase public value water? Esther, probably we can switch to the next one if you find one interesting comment. There is one here on the right. Water is not valued as compared to the important. I think we had this already. Can you probably click on another one? If somebody wants to talk, you can as well asking for the word, and you can intervene directly. Establish monitor water. Okay, this one: establish an organization to monitor water loss in war-torn countries. Oh, this is a very challenging issue. I know there is actually an international organization on water law. Forgive me that I cannot cite now the name, but if you browse on the internet, you will find it. There's actually a water law monitoring group, something like that. And actually there is something going on. But actually, of course, in war-torn countries, this is a very difficult situation, but a very challenging situation with the water resources. Reuse, c'est heurte à un refus de pas mal de sociétés souveraines qu'il faut le faire. Okay, I understand. There is, if I understand this right, the reuse. That means the reuse of treated wastewater is actually challenged by the fact that lots of farmers actually don't like this water, and unfortunately, in Tunisia, this is as well the case. And what we are saying to this point is, it's clear, as long as you have some kind of access to fresh water, groundwater, or whatsoever, of course, you will not accept this kind of water, because of course it's water of secondary quality. So actually, if you increase the value of the water, of the fresh water, the people might probably accept this water as well as water which is completely fine and completely okay to use it in irrigation and agriculture.
Manfred, so just to inform you, we have about 10 minutes left, so I would suggest giving the word to Kazim Kharat and then moving on to our last question.
Fine. Khatim, go in.
Just to run my sound. Good morning, everyone. Just one thing about the increasing of awareness of the population. My only concern about that is that it takes time. It takes 5-10 years, and unfortunately, in that kind of problems we have now, especially with agriculture, I have to mention that we have no time. So that doesn't mean we have to, or the decision makers have to take precipitated decisions, but we have not, and Tunisia has not, like Algeria, which is my own country, we have not time to wait 20 years till the awareness of the population is high enough. So there are a lot of things to be done, and they unfortunately have to be done now. So how can we do that?
Thank you, Hatim. Yes, I mean we are working like hell on awareness, and we are working like hell as well on regulation, on as well increasing the water availability. This is, I mean, this is clear. We are in a hurry. You're completely right, and but we know we cannot increase the pressure on the population. That means the regulation if the people don't understand what it is for, and therefore we say we have to do it together. And you're completely right. I mean, our project is running for 4 years. We will definitely have another phase. We will have another situation within the next 4 years. This is completely right. I mean, we are fighting against the time. You're right, but we don't lose the grip on it. Thank you. So we have the last session now, the last minute. So we want you now to tell us what you think to propose to increase the value of water in your country, in your region, or in general. What do you think? So please come in and make your comments, take the word, write in the chat, whatever you like. We have about roughly 8 minutes left to discuss, and I'm seeing that it's I mean it's very intense, the participation, and I appreciate very much the comments from your side. I think it was up to now a session which was very rich. Now we want to hear from you, what you can give us. Probably you can give us some recommendations for us, or if you have. Let's wait a second. The value of water in your country. What do you probably might increase the tariffs, which is not very easy. We know that there are many of things which value or monetize water are things which are usually not really appreciated by the people of today, but the people of the future will love you for that. This is a bit the challenge that actually we are facing with sustainable water resource management, or with any management of any water resources. Agir sur le prix. So, yeah, working on the price. Definitely, this is something. Smartly review the tariffs. This is the second on money. money makes the world all go round. Okay. What else would you suggest? Incentives. Yeah, incentives is as well money, regulation, awareness, behavior change. That's behavior change is actually let me say a result of awareness, regulation, and incentives. It is actually three levers, if you want, like that, to act on the behavior of someone. Either I am convinced about something, either I do it because if I don't do it, I get tapped on the hands, on the fingers by the administration, or I just pay more. And all this intervenes, of course, into my behavior towards water.
So just a quick remark. I just realized that you can only type up to 25 letters. So in case you want to add some more information, feel free to use the chat as well.
Okay, punish the waste of water. So punish the waste of water is regulation. Yes, yeah, this is, I can tell you that punish the waste of water is a discussion we have with the ministry on very much. And we recently said, you know, the moment, you know, at the moment there is a very dry year, and we have actually a lot of water prioritized into water supply in Tunisia. So with agriculture suffering a lot because they don't get the 70%, and during the presentation it was said, because there's not enough water to distribute to farmers. And I talked to the ministry and said, shouldn't we, for example, forbid the washing of the streets or watering gardens, what actually is the case here in Germany. I'm actually sitting here in Germany, and my partner looked at me and he said, "Oh, Manfred, no, please don't." I mean, at some point we probably have to go to that point, but we are not yet actually at the point that the administration is ready to take this prohibitive measures, and which are seen as very, very, you know, deeply intervening in the social life of the people. But probably with the time, probably at the end of the project, we can tell you more about it. What can we do as well? Well, in the rainwater, that's a good point. Rainwater is actually, we work in rainwater, actually not in this project, but we have a new project which will mainly work on green water, which is actually rainwater transferred into a basis of the vegetation to grow. So actually green water, rainwater is very much, thank you very much for this comment. It's very important. Apply the law strictly. Okay. Partnership with industry. Yes, this is what we do as well. We are working on water footprint measures for different products. And we have a comment from Raja Zalem. Please come in.
Raja, you can speak up now if you want to.
Sorry. Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Please put on your video if you can.
Yes, but I'm in the home because
okay.
No problem. Okay, just I want to say that we must work to reuse the treatment wastewater, but not only in the agriculture, but also in the industrial farms, and also to groundwater research, and we must work in this point. But because it's very difficult to identify the illicit user of our resource. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Raja. You are from which country, please?
I'm from the ONAS, the Sanitation Utility Farms. ONAS, Office National.
You are from Tunisia. Okay.
Yeah, from Tunisia. I'm the responsible, the manager of the management of the industrial wastewater.
Okay. I think we have about 1 minute to go, so I hand over to Esther to, I think, close the session. If not, we are gonna eventually, before we are gonna cut off by the administrator. Please, Esther.
Yes, thank you, Manfred. Thank you to all the participants for a very interesting discussion and sharing your thoughts on the different questions we raised. It was nice to have you all on board. We tried to look beyond the usual monetary aspects of value, and to talk. You also discussed in a critical way the techniques that are available to reduce the water consumption, which are, in our eyes, not sufficient to value water. We discussed the 3 levers of change that we perceive as being key to change this perception of value within the individuals. We looked at awareness raising, we looked at regulations, we looked at monetary value, and you also enriched our discussion with your thoughts. And we hope we are now all on the same page in trying to raise the sensitization and value water by all means. So thanks a lot for participating, and looking forward to some of us might meet some of you in presence next week in Stockholm, and don't hesitate to come to us if you see some of us in the halls and talk about value of water. Thanks a lot, and have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you too, and bye. See you next week in Stockholm, probably.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.